Welcome, everyone. I call this May 13th, 2025 meeting of council to order at 5 p.m. This meeting will be held in a hybrid manner where members of council, staff, and the public can participate electronically. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded and will be available on the township website. Notice is hereby provided that under the authority of the Municipal Act 2001 and in accordance with the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, that all information attained is considered part of the public record. All rules apply to the meeting as if everyone was attending in person, and if there is a problem with the technology impacting the proceedings of the meeting may be recessed. So at this time, I would ask everyone to rise that can for the playing of the national anthem. We acknowledge that we are being hosted on the ancestral lands of the Haudenosaunee, Mississauga, and Omama people. We acknowledge and welcome the presence of all Indigenous people, including the Métis, Inuit, and other First Nations from across this vast land, who also make this place home. The lands we're on today are recognized in the Two-Row Wampum Dish with One Spoon Treaty, Treaty 27, and the Crawford Purchase. Okay, so the first item up is a confirmation of the agenda. There's no additions or changes? Do we have a motion for adoption of the agenda? Councillor Willis, so moved, seconded by Councillor Parks. All in favor? Motion is passed. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof for open session this evening? Councillor Broderick.
Your worship, I would declare a conflict on item 11.3.
11.3. Don't have you. Any other declarations this evening? Seeing none.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if I could ask Councillor Broderick to just reiterate or explain the nature of the pecuniary interest.
I can, but you got the form, but I'll try from memory. I'm declaring in conflict because the item in question backs onto my own property, and I did declare a similar conflict in February, so I just want to be consistent with that.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, clerk, for reminding us to do that. The next item is the motion to go into closed session. Can someone make the motion and read it for the record? Councillor Willis?
I move that council now move into closed session to consider personal matters about an identifiable individual, the 2025 Civic Awards, pursuant to Section 239(2)B of the Municipal Act.
So moved, second by Councillor Broderick. All in favor? Motion is passed. We will go into closed. Welcome, everyone. We'll reconvene the meeting at 6 o'clock. The council meeting actually started at 5, and we went into closed session for a little while, and we're just reconvening now. So after the closed session, we have a rise and report, and there is a motion that will be coming up on the screen, which we will be asking council for a mover and seconder, and we can vote on it to move it forward in open session. So we'll just give a second. Do you have anyone in the audience that wants a minute to read it? And I would entertain a motion. Someone would like to move it and read the motion when they do. Councillor Willis.
I move that the report from the Community and Customer Services Department, Heritage, Culture, and Tourism Division dated May 13th, 2025, re-2025 Civic Awards be received, and 2, that staff be directed to notify award recipients and the names of those awarded remain confidential until all recipients have been notified.
So moved, seconded by Councillor Parks. All in favor? Motion is passed. So the next item are presentations, and we do have some presentations this evening. And I'm just going to make a bit of a statement before we go to the presentation. Tonight, I'd like to extend our sincere thanks to the volunteers behind the past winter's Community Outdoor Rink season. This was our second year with the Community Outdoor Rink program and our first year with weather that cooperated to allow for 3 skatable outdoor rinks in our community. Thanks to the hard work and dedication of our volunteers, and the rinks were open for an incredible 53 days and were enjoyed frequently. That means 53 days of hard work for everybody that volunteered. That's pretty amazing. These teams of dedicated volunteers built and maintained ice daily, giving residents of all ages a safe and fun place to skate, play hockey, and enjoy the outdoors. Their efforts created more than just rinks. They built spaces for connection, activity, and community spirit during the coldest months of the year. On behalf of council, thank you for your time and commitment. We're proud to recognize your contributions tonight and to present certificates in appreciation of your success. Thank you again for making this winter one to remember. And now we will have Ms. Brown come forward, and she will carry out the actual presentations of the certificates. Okay. I must say, that's pretty impressive to be spending 53 days straight out in the cold, shoveling off the ice, flooding it, and making sure it's ready for everyone to enjoy. And from the ones that I saw, I drove around them fairly often. They were always, they were well used. They had lots of work to make sure that they were ready for the next day. So that's very good that they all stepped up and continue to do it right to the end. So the next item up is open forum. So 15 minutes of the meeting has been set aside for open forum. Any individual may address council regarding an item on the agenda, excluding matters under the statutory public meeting section on the same agenda. Each person has 3 minutes to speak. Anyone wishing to speak can register in advance, which we do have 3. Or they can use the raised hand feature if participating in Zoom, and I will also open it up to in chambers in case there's someone here that wishes to speak that didn't sign up. So first I'll go through the list and allow each one to come up. Now, Clerk's Department will put a timer on the screens. We just ask that you keep an eye on it so that we can keep moving along in the meeting. It will come up with the 3 minutes, and if it gets close to the end and you're not seeing the number, I can just give you a jog to let you know that the time is running down. So the first one up is Amy Dornicamp. So if you could just come up to the table where one of the mics are, just push the, I call it purplish color, and it'll light up on the mic here. Then everyone in the virtual audience can hear you as well. There, you're ready to go. Just provide your name and
Okay.
present us with your information.
My name is Amy Dornicamp, and I live in the township and own Mill Creek Vet Clinic on Main Street. I also pay taxes here and care deeply about the health of our community, both as a resident and a small business owner. I'm here tonight to express my strong opposition to the proposed multi-use pathway on either side of Main Street. I respectfully ask that Main Street stay as it is and that council choose alternative number 1 for reconstruction. While I support active living, Main Street is not the right location for a multi-use path. The 2021 Township survey showed that while 75% supported an investment in active transportation, over 65% of those respondents commute more than 10 kilometers to work, making it impractical. A county survey completed in the last couple of months found that 81% of the respondents said a multi-use path would not benefit them more than parking. The community has spoken, and their priorities are clear. Parking remains a greater need than a multi-use path in this location. Removing street parking would have a direct impact on my business. Our clients, many of whom are seniors or carrying pets and carriers or have stressed dogs, need easy and safe access to the business. Asking them to park across a busy road and walk over it isn't feasible or safe. There are only 5 spots on the opposite side of Main Street between Factory Street and Center Street, and those are already shared by the church, Home Hardware, my clinic, the bank, and the residents in that area. This is not enough parking. If clients struggle to park, they'll go elsewhere. And with 8 other vet clinics within a 15-minute drive, I'm deeply concerned we'll lose both current and prospective clients. This change would also affect how our clinic operates daily, from scheduling to client safety. As someone born and raised in Odessa who chose to return and open a business here, I value the small town character and the accessibility that drew me to Main Street in the first place, and it's worth protecting. We also need to consider the message this sends to other professionals and businesses looking to invest here. Adding multi-use pathways at the expense of parking could make Main Street less attractive for new businesses in a community that's growing and working hard to attract more local services. This isn't about resisting progress. It's about being smart, practical, and responsive to the needs of our township. So again, I respectfully ask that council choose alternative number 1 and keep Main Street functional, accessible, and true to the spirit of Odessa. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. The next one on the list H. Dornicamp, did you wish to speak as well, Hank? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And David Savage. If you could just push the button on the mic, otherwise anyone in the virtual audience can't hear it.
All right, so I'm David Savage, owner of Odessa Home Hardware. So I support what Amy in the resolution that we're looking forward to. We created a petition. We garnered about 500 names, and all our customers that we spoke to thought it was not a wise decision. And, you know, we've been in the business, we've been in the village now since 1938 in the same location. To remove the parking on that side of the street or anywhere on Main Street would be devastating to any small current business or prospective business. Okay. And I have spoken with some of the councillors directly about this, and I would like to make sure that the resolution that we're against is taken care of, right? And I do appreciate the fact of wanting, you know, outdoor living. And the other couple of recommendations, there may be a good possibility of that working with Babcock Mill and across the Millhaven Creek, and to join the two subdivisions if that's the ultimate goal, right? But that's where my position has been and is. So thank you.
Thank you. So that's the three names that were on the register. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak? Please come forward, just state your name and address and provide us with your information.
Sure. I'm Ron Tasker, 149 Earl Street in Kingston.
Yeah.
But we have properties in Bath. So I wrote a very strongly worded letter to council over the barns on the west side of Amherst that they were going to get delisted. There were a lot of good reasons to ask questions, given the heritage statements and so on. In the meantime, the owner reached out to me and we had a site visit today. And it is clear that the barn is not as significant as it seemed like it was. And I would support delisting of it.
Okay.
And I think there's one takeaway, and that's that probably the Heritage Committee ought to do site visits if they're really impactful things that they're ruling on, because you know, things would have been clear. It's hard to say in the future where it would go. The other comment is that it does show listing works, right? Because listing is a weak heritage option that's going to go away. And had this actually been a 1785 barn, then it would have been caught. But in the future, when there's no listing, there will be barns and structures that get demolished that really ought not to be. Short is, though, I do support delisting.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Thank you for the suggestions as well. Thanks. Appreciate it. Now, we did have one other one. Amelia Leslie? She virtual? Yes. There we are. Ms. Leslie, can you hear me?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I can. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, please proceed.
Thank you so much to Jillian and the Loyalist Township and the audience for having me and taking time tonight to learn about my request for our June Stroke and Aphasia Awareness Month proclamation. I'm coming to you today as social worker and coordinator of stroke services at Greater Kingston Victorian Order of Nurses. We serve the KFL&A area and have been in our community providing free non-medical support to anyone affected by stroke or aphasia. So those are some medical terms that I'll get to shortly, but they are quite common. In fact, we have over 108,000 new strokes in Canada annually, with over 800,000 Canadians living with the effects of stroke, and stroke does happen every 5 minutes in Canada. So you can see the impact of our community stroke services just in the numbers there, but most importantly from the valuable feedback from our survivors and caregivers affected by stroke and aphasia, living their lives on their stroke journeys. So we work all year to raise awareness about these neurological conditions. And June is Stroke and Aphasia Awareness Month in Canada. So we're especially inviting our communities to learn what stroke and aphasia are and how to help. So stroke being a neurological condition affecting the disruption of blood flow in the brain. And because the brain's our control center of everything, anything can be affected. I'm sure there's members in the audience and online that know somebody who's had a stroke, maybe close in their lives or maybe a neighbor. And so when we talk about aphasia, it's a language and communication disorder affecting our ability to read or write or produce speech or understand speech, but not affecting our intelligence. So we're often teaching the community about what's called accessible communication strategies. We think about accessibility as far as physical space, maybe having a ramp or an automatic door button, but we are also teaching folks about the communication accessibility. I see the time's coming to a close, so if there's ever a time you want to reach out, please do. GKVON Stroke Services, and I'll look forward to the council's decision. Thank you so much.
Thank you for providing that information. And yes, we'll be dealing with that just down a couple more items. So we should be getting there shortly. Thank you. I'll just go back in chambers. Is there anyone else in chambers that wishes to speak this evening under open forum? Seeing none, I will go to the virtual audience. If there's anyone in the virtual audience who wishes to speak to council, please use the raised hand feature and we can bring you into the meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I don't see anyone with their hand raised.
Okay, thank you. So that completes the open forum for this meeting. So we're down to items for consideration, council composition and ward boundary review, revised option 1. Welcome. Did you have anything additional to share or just here to answer questions?
Oh, just to answer questions.
Okay, thank you. Council, we do have because this is a big item, I'll just ask before we put a motion on the floor, if there's any questions strictly for clarification that you wish to present to staff. Seeing none? Okay. We do have the report before us and we have discussed this at a previous meeting in the committee of the whole. I would entertain a motion put on the floor so we can deal with this item. Councillor Prodrick.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would recommend that the report from the Clerk's Division dated May 13th, 2025, council composition and ward boundary review revised option 1 be received, and that council enact bylaw 2025-39, a bylaw to redivide the wards in Loyalist Township.
So moved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Willis. Mover, any comments?
I don't really have any comments. I think we had a fairly robust conversation last time in committee of the whole, and I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you. Seconder, any comments?
No, same. Thank you.
Thank you. Other members? Councillor Ennis.
Thank you, and through the mayor. I don't think council will be surprised. I'm not going to support the motion. In my view, those supportive of this motion have not satisfactorily explained why the extreme population disparity between Ward 1 and all the rest of the wards is warranted. It's well established that a variance of up to 25% can be appropriate for good reason, perhaps up to 33% in some municipal OLT decisions. Here it's 500% plus. If this bylaw stands, I think it would set a problematic precedent. If 919 people in one ward versus over 5,000 people in other wards is okay, when does the disparity ever become not okay? As well, those supportive of this option are okay with mixing rural mainlanders and urban mainlanders in one ward, but are not okay with mixing islanders and mainlanders in one ward. Why? I'm not sure. My view is that those supportive of this option erred in their focus on this community versus that community, where instead the main focus, in my view, should have been on each person in Loyalist and each person's charter right to relative equality of voting power and effective representation. The petitioners who started all of this requested a redividing of the municipality's wards to achieve fair representation to all electors of Loyalist Township. I don't think this option satisfies that request. And when the time comes, I'd like a recorded vote, please.
So noted. Thank you. Other comments from council? Councilor Parks?
Thank you. Just also wanted to say I will not support this motion for many of the reasons that Councilor Annis has brought forward. I believe it's not in the best interest of the township as a whole.
Thank you. Councilor Budrick?
I too will not be supporting this motion for basically the eloquent words of my counterparts. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from council? Being none, I'll go back to the mover for final comment if there is one. None? And I will turn it over to the clerk's department for a recorded vote.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, with your indulgence, may I ask the deputy clerk to call the recorded vote just because it's a training opportunity for the deputy clerk.
Please proceed. Thank you.
Thank you. So as per section 12.11 of the procedural bylaw, Councillor Ennis requested a recorded vote on item 11.1. I will begin by calling out the names of each member of council in alphabetical order, starting with Councillor Ennis. Please state whether you are in favor or opposed of the motion.
Opposed.
Councillor Parks?
Opposed.
Councillor Broderick?
In favor.
Councillor Willis?
In favor.
And Councillor Budrick?
Opposed.
Deputy Mayor Townend?
In favor.
And Mayor Hagedorn?
In favor.
So that motion carries 4-3.
Thank you. The next item is Township-owned Lands Surplus Declaration. Go. Welcome. Sorry, all of a sudden I've got something in my throat. Do you have anything to share in addition to the report or just here to answer questions?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just here to answer questions, although I did want to note one clarification in the report. The county council meeting is on May 21st, not May 22nd, as noted in the report. Apologies for the error there.
Thank you. So council, we have a report with a recommendation before us. Would someone like to put a motion on the floor? You have a question for clarification? Please proceed.
Just a quick question. We have in the recommendation 4 properties, but only 2 being offered up to the county. Do we have any other plans for those 2 parcels that we are going to list as surplus?
Through the mayor. The two properties, 5555 Front Road, Amherst Island, and 102 Main Street, Odessa, are not being offered to the county because they have existing structures and they are not of the correct size for the county's purposes. We do not have a plan as of yet as to how those properties would be dealt with and eventually sold if they were declared surplus. There's some additional work that has to be done in order to review the most appropriate way to market these properties in order to have the greatest benefit to the township.
Yes.
Just to follow up, so will it come back, those two properties will come back to council before they're sold or just the results after, just if for information?
Through the mayor, if council wishes to direct staff on the method that would be used for marketing those properties, we can certainly bring a report back to council for that purpose. Yes.
Thank you. Are there other questions for clarification? Councilor Broderick?
I don't know if it's clarification. Can I ask for information that wasn't in the report?
Yes.
Thank you. Through the mayor, I'm just wondering, how much would it cost? How much does the township, I guess, in terms of costs of 102, 231, and 555, those three properties to carry it year to year? What's it costing us right now, if you know?
So 5555 Front Road on Amherst Island is disconnected from hydro and gas. So that property, there are no carrying costs unless there is an issue that happens that has to be dealt with by facilities maintenance. The 102 Main Street property is connected, and there's some pest control and other incidentals that the operations costs are approximately $3,000 per year. However, we have had to do some other asset management work, like there was a new furnace required recently for that property, for example. And there is for both the property on Amherst Island and 102 Main Street in Odessa. The buildings do continue to deteriorate without, proper ventilation use, continual maintenance and upgrades. They're being sort of held and hobbled along. They're not being because they're not being used, they're not being actively maintained or actively they're being the one on Main Street in Odessa is being heated, but it's not receiving the type of maintenance that other facilities that are in use by the public still are receiving. The 231 Amherst Drive property is a vacant property, so the operational costs associated with it are limited generally to lawn mowing in the spring, summer, and fall. So that's estimated at about 30 minutes of work per week for the parks maintenance crew. So about $1,000 or so for the year.
Okay. Are there any other questions for clarification? Being none, would someone like to put a motion on the floor, please? Councilor Broderick.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the report from the Corporate Services Strategy and Innovation Department dated May 13th, 2025, Township-owned Lands surplus declaration be received, and that council declare surplus the township-owned parcels at 555 Front Road, Amherst Island, 231 Amherst Drive, Amherstview, Part 3 of 29R-7212 on Church Street, Bath, and 102 Main Street, Odessa, and that the township offer to the County of Lennox and Anthem parcels that could be used for the purpose of affordable housing projects, including 231 Amherst Drive, 363 Amherst Drive North portion, and the property on Church Street, Part 3 of 29R-7212, noting that timelines for development may vary.
So moved. Do we have a seconder? Councilor Budrick, any comments from the mover? Seconder? Other members? Being none, call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Lakeside Phase 8, Stage 1. Councillor Project did declare a conflict or a potential pecuniary interest, so will not be participating in this discussion or vote. Council, we have the report before us. Is there any additional information or just here to answer questions?
No, through your worship, just here to answer questions.
Thank you. Would a member like to put a motion on the floor? Councillor Ennis.
You, through the mayor, move that the report from the Development Services Division, May 13th, 2025, for Lakeside Phase 8, Stage 1, assumption of 1 foot reserve be received. And 2, that bylaw 2025-33 being bylaw to establish and assume a 1 foot reserve described as Block 12 on Plan 29M-72 be enacted and passed.
So moved, seconded by Councillor Parks. Comments from the mover, seconder, other members? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Next is developer agreement for Prune Crescent and Sir John Johnson Drive reconstruction. Welcome. Do you have any additional information or just to answer questions?
Just for questions, Your Worship.
Thank you. We have the report before us. Would a council member like to put the motion on the floor? Put a motion on the floor. Councillor Willis.
Move that the report from the Engineering and Environment Division, May 13th, 2025, redeveloper agreement for Prune Crescent and Sir John Johnson Drive reconstruction be received. And 2, that council authorize the mayor and chief administrative officer to enter into the cost-sharing agreement pending final terms and conditions that are acceptable to staff and township legal counsel.
So moved. And seconded by Deputy Mayor Townend. Mover, any comments? Seconder, any comments? Other members of council? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Thank you. Proclamation, June 1st to June 30th, 2025 as Stroke and Aphasia Awareness Month. So, look to council, how would you wish to handle this? Would you like to receive or receive and support? Councillor Broderick.
I would move to receive and support.
Receive and support. So moved, seconded by Councillor Budrick. Any comments from the mover? Looking to the clerk.
Before the, before council makes a motion, I would just like to highlight that the motion that's presented on the agenda is missing an operative sentence. And I can share my screen really quickly so that it's clear to council.
Please.
So the proclamation requests June 1st to June 30th be proclaimed Stroke and Aphasia Awareness Month. That sentence is missing from the face of the agenda. So just want to make sure that council understands.
Okay, thank you. Turn to the mover. Is that?
That's good for me as long as I don't have to read out the recommendation.
We'll go with that. Seconder? Any comments from other members? Call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Now we need a motion to move into Committee of the Whole. Could I have a motion? Councillor Parks.
Motion to, that council now resolve into committee of the whole.
So moved, seconded by Councillor Willis. All in favor? Motion is passed. We are in Committee of the Whole, and I will just turn it over to the clerk to follow the steps of the procedural bylaw because the deputy mayor is virtual, so according to the procedural bylaw, is unable to chair.
So at this time, we'll are just looking for another member of council to chair the Committee of the Whole meeting this evening. Do we have any volunteers?
I would nominate the mayor to be the chair.
Okay, sorry. Deputy Mayor?
Seconded.
Okay. So if everyone's in favor, sorry, this is your part of the meeting. I'm going right ahead. Don't give me the floor. I'll keep it.
Yes, the motion is to nominate the mayor to chair the meeting. All in favor? That carries. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So the item we have is the Odessa Main Street reconstruction, design, considerations, and petition. I have a couple staff members coming forward. Welcome back. Do you have anything additional to share or just here to answer questions?
Through you, your worship, just one piece. After finalizing the report, staff did receive an updated petition from the petitioners, which included additional signatures from what was included in the report. So that number that's referenced there of 316 increased. I don't have the final number here, but I did hear Mr. Savage say close to 500, so that would be closer to accurate.
Okay, thank you. Council, do we have any questions for clarification? Staff at this time? Councilor Budrick.
It was just brought to my attention before the meeting regarding Mill Creek Veterinary Clinic that their occupancy was given to them because of the parking out in front. That's how they got their okay to build there. Would this not infringe on that?
So through you, your worship, it would depend on the interpretation that would be made about the available parking. So I don't think there was a proximity of that parking made, more so that it just is available on street. So the argument could be made that as long as there is some parking available on street within proximity to the businesses, that it meets the definition of the variance there. But obviously that is a concern that was noted in the report as well.
Thank you. Other question?
Just if the clerk could throw up a picture I shared with council. When I was out that day, it was by coincidence, this is in front of Mill Creek Veterinary Clinic, where there's a lady with a stroller and another lady holding a dog. The car is up on the curb because the person needed the stroller to get out of the car. So they were up on the curb because of basically the traffic. And I mean, I think that picture says everything, the fact that we need to keep the parking there just because.
Is there a question?
No, it's just a
Then
statement.
we can take this
Okay.
after the motion's on the floor. Just trying to follow the procedure. Are there questions for clarification? Councilor Willis.
I'm not sure if staff are prepared, but the two alternatives, is it possible that we could just have them up on the screen? It's hard to see on the iPad. Do you have that nearby or is? Not necessarily, my question is there one of those two that in your opinion makes more sense from a practicality and from a cost perspective?
Through you, your worship, to be honest, no, there's no sort of slam dunk alternative to this. As I outlined in the report, each option has their trade-offs that are associated with it. So I believe I called it the force main crossing. There's no existing crossing there now. So that would require work in water. That would require a number of permits from MNRF, CRCA, so on. So the cost would be considerably higher, as well as just establishing a new structural culvert crossing. The other option, while it may be less costly overall, there are significant concerns with the environmental condition of the property that the Babcock Mill rear yard is onto. Just some of the historic uses could lend itself potentially to contamination or things like that. At this point, I personally haven't seen a phase 1 ESA or anything like that, so I'm speculating a little, but it's a risk that I want to make sure that council's aware of. That to go with that option, you would need to do some sort of property acquisition or something like that, and if there are contaminants, things of concern, that increases municipal liability.
To make a recommendation, your worship. I would recommend that the report from the Engineering Environment Division, May 13th, 2025, Odessa Main Street reconstruction design considerations and petitions be received, and direct council to reinstate the existing cross-section, explore alternatives of connectivity routes as outlined in the report.
So we go with alternative 1, where we reinstate the existing cross-section and then review the other options when feasible. Okay, just wanted to clarify in my own mind. So moved, seconded by Councillor Ennis. Mover, any comments?
Yes, thank you, your worship. I had a chance to meet with some of the, business owners in Odessa, and I go back to the glory days of the Town Eagles in the late 70s, and it's changed so much, Odessa. And I think some of the things to consider, and I think I congratulate the creators of the petition, obviously a very strong voice from the community. We can't cut off business growth. Odessa, I think, is in a bit of a renaissance, and the veterinary clinic, different things are coming back into the village. And, without the parking, it's a choke for them, I think. I guess with the multi-use pathway, and I'm thinking of the cycling side of it, and I talked to a few who I would call hardcore cyclists who have told me things like they don't use that road, they go back Millhaven Road, back roads, and a couple of residents, and I was asking them about, you have kids that age. He said, no, we don't want them on highway, they call Highway 2. And I also, on one visit, I stood just across from the veterinary clinic and the home hardware. And it was probably 35 cars that went by in less than 5 minutes. So I don't think it's not the right location. And again, you also have the choke point of the bridge. That's a point in our bridge, I think, is good for another 40 or 50 years. And I appreciate Ms. Dornkamp's comment about the number of veterinary clinics being within a 50-minute drive. And we don't think of that, but it is. And again, it's the same for the hardware store. There's so many places within an easy access point. And I think when I go back, tie that all up, we've got an 1880s village that my grandparents came to on horse and buggy with 2025 traffic problems. And I don't think we can reconcile the multi-use pathways. I think we have to protect the businesses, protect the the parking for that area. And I appreciate what Councillor Buderick picture there, that that sort of is a snapshot of the whole issue. And I hope people support the motion.
Thank you. Seconder?
I don't have anything to add. I echo fully and support Councillor Product's statements.
Thank you. Other members of council, any comments? Being none. Follow procedure and go to mover for final. Call a question. All in favor? Motion is passed. I would now entertain a recommendation that the committee of the whole now adjourn at 6:47. We have mover, Councillor Willis, seconder, Councillor Parks. All in favor? Motion is passed. Notice of motion. Do we have any notices of motion this evening? Seeing none, do we have any direct motions to be presented this evening? Seeing none, we have the consent agenda where a number of items are lumped together. Can be all passed as one or can be extracted. Are there any items to be extracted this evening? Seeing none, I would take a recommendation for all of them at once. Deputy Mayor?
Through you, your worship, I move that all items in the consent agenda dated May 13th, 2025 be approved as presented and that the necessary action be taken.
So moved, seconded by Councillor Parks. Any comments on any of the items? I just have one. The invasive Phragmites monitoring results for Loyalist was enlightening. It is I guess I'm a little more sensitive to it because of my dealings elsewhere, but it is quite a concern in a lot of areas, and I'm glad that we're monitoring it, watching it, and being able to address it as the time comes. So it was really good to see that and read the report and know where we stand within the township. Thank you. So with that, I'll call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Scrolling. Announcements. Any announcements this evening from council? Deputy Mayor Town, and then I'll come to Councillor Broderick.
Yes, thank you, your worship. This past Saturday, I had the opportunity to attend a ceremony for the awarding of the King's Coronation Medal by our Member of Provincial Parliament. I was invited by the past Warden of Lennox and Addington County and current Reeve of Addington Highlands, Henry Hogg. But while I was there were also 3 other people from Loyalist Township who were presented with medals: Vicky Keith, John Armitage, and Mike Shabinsky. And so my congratulations to them. They definitely do our township proud.
Thank you. Councillor Broderick.
I just wanted to thank staff for the family fishing day. I had a chance to go out and enjoy, I guess, the celebration, and also in my role as Catarockaway Conservation Authority Chair, was pleased to see we had some presence there. And again, I'm year 3 of not catching anything.
It was still a fun day. Thank you. Are there other announcements from council this evening? I just have a couple. A week ago now, I guess it was, the Odessa Agricultural Society hosted the See and Learn on the fairgrounds. Very well attended. I don't know how many thousands went through, but it was very well attended. It was great to have the participation of local residents and farmers bringing animals and different things for everyone to be able to enjoy, as well as some local businesses. And of course, the township fire department, the OPP, they were all there as well as the roads crew were there with some equipment. So there was lots for the youngsters, and you're never too old to climb in equipment. So, I mean, I enjoyed it too. And we actually had a local farmer that had a massive tractor, 525 horse tractor with a cultivator. And well, I enjoyed that too. It was a great event. The other is I attended the Alzheimer's walk at the JMPC on Saturday morning. well attended. Appreciate everyone that participated, raised funds for Alzheimer's and the JMPC for hosting it. Anything else from other members? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion for the confirmatory bylaw. Councillor Broderick,
I would move that bylaw 2025-40 to confirm the proceedings of the Council of Loyalist Township be enacted and passed, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign and seal.
so moved, seconded by Councillor Parks. All in favor? Motion is passed. And a motion to adjourn. Do I have a mover? Councillor Budrick, seconded by Councillor Ennis. All in favor? Motion is passed. We are adjourned at 6:52.